Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवति उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 3, Text 50 onwards. अर्चादो हृदय चापि यथा लब्धोपचारक द्रव्यक्षित्यात्मन आत्मलिंगानि निष्पाद्य प्रोक्ष्य चासनम् पाद्यादीनोप कल्प्याथ सन्निधाप्य समाहितः हृदादिभिः कृतन्यासो मूलमन्त्रेण चार्चयेत्. So Maharaj Nimi's question was about karma yoga, and Yogendra ji is speaking about, and he talked about karma yoga, and now he's coming to the bhakti yoga, and from bhakti yoga giving some more descriptions of bhakti yoga. Now it's the deity worship, how to do deity worship. The devotee should gather whatever ingredients for worshipping the deity are available. Make ready the offerings, the ground, his mind, and the deity. Sprinkle his sitting place with water for purification and prepare the bathing water and other paraphernalia. The devotee should then place the deity in his proper place, both physically and within his own mind. Concentrate his attention and mark the deity's heart and other parts of the body with tilak. Then he should offer worship with the appropriate mantra. Purport. The absolute truth can never be understood by ordinary material sense perception. The conditioned souls engrossed in the vain pursuit of material sense gratification are completely indifferent to the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Their materially conditioned minds are always impure and disturbed by the endless flow of material dualities, such as prosperity and poverty, winter and summer, fame and infamy, youth and old age. Such disturbed, conditioned souls cannot recognize the personal presence of the absolute truth in the form of the deity. So, materially conditioned souls, it's very difficult for them to understand who's deity, who's the Lord, and coming in the form of deity, and we got to do deity service. But the way to make progress is only that, either that or in combination with chanting of the holy name. So slowly, our senses start getting spiritualized. Materially conditioned souls, our minds are always impure, but slowly, we make progress. The Lord's incarnation as Archa Avatar, the deity form, is a special manifestation of the Lord's mercy towards the materialistic or neophyte devotees who are still under the influence of material designations. They are unable to perceive the Lord in his eternal abode, and therefore the Lord descends as a deity form, manifesting the Prakash incarnations, and even the Swayam Prakash, or the original form of the Lord. The Prakash incarnations exhibit various pastimes within this world, whereas Swayam Prakash, the Lord's original form, is the source of all avatars. So yes, this Prakash, Swayam Prakash, Vaibhav Prakash, there's so many different technical terms, and big explanation is given in Chaitanya Charitamrita when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu speaks to Sanatana Goswami. So when we come to that, we'll see that. It's huge, big description. You'll be surprised how many incarnations are there. We generally talk about, Dashavatar only. Dashavatar is just most prominent Leela avatar. That's it. Those are the Dashavatar. There are so many incarnations. To one who sincerely worships the deity manifests himself as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is deity. To one who sincerely worships the deity manifests himself as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Those who are most unfortunate cannot even recognize the Supreme Lord in his merciful deity expansion. They consider the deity an ordinary material object, but by surrendering at the lotus feet of a bona fide spiritual master who's a pure devotee of the Lord, one can learn to worship the deity as mentioned in this verse, and thus revive one's lost relationship with the Lord. One who considers such transcendental deity worship to be equivalent to idol worship is grossly covered by the three modes of material nature. A person wearing rose colored glasses sees the entire world to be rose colored or red. Similarly, those unfortunate living entities who are thickly covered by the material modes of nature see everything, including the Supreme Lord, as material due to their polluted vision. And so, this is the problem. One who sees the deity as an idol, as just a murti, then he is the most unfortunate person actually. Deities are deities. Deities means with the proper installation, pran pratishtha, then they're non-different from the Lord. Sango pangam sapashadam tam tam murti sumantrata padya adhya arghya chamaniya chamniyadya स्नान वासो विभूषण है गंध माल्याक्षत सृग फिर धूप दीपोपहारक है सांग संपूज्य विधिवत स्तव स्तुत्वा नमेद धरिम. One should worship the deity along with each of the limbs of his transcendental body, his weapons such as Sudarshan Chakra, his other bodily features, and his personal associates. One should worship each of these transcendental aspects of the Lord by its own mantra and with offerings of water to wash the feet, scented water, water to wash the mouth, water for bathing, fine clothing and ornaments, fragrant oils, valuable necklaces, unbroken barley corns, flower garlands, incense, and lamps. Having completed the worship in all its aspects in accordance with the prescribed regulations, one should then honor the deity of Lord Hari with prayers and offer obeisances to him by bowing down. So there are rules, upachar, it's called upachar, how to worship the deities. So there are some of the rules mentioned here. Srila Sridhar Swami has mentioned that akshat or unbroken barley corns are to be used in decorating the deity with tilak and not in the actual puja. Lord Vishnu should not be worshipped with unbroken barley corn, and Lord Shiva should not be worshipped with ketaki flowers. Yes, some rules are there, so we have to learn the rules properly for deity worship. आत्मानं तन्मयं ध्यानं मूर्तिं सम्पूज्ये धरे शेषामाधाय शिरसा स्वधाम्नि उद्वास्य सत्कृतम्. The worshipper should become fully absorbed in meditating upon himself as an eternal servant of the Lord and should thus perfectly worship the deity, remembering that the deity is also situated within his heart. Then he should take the remnants of the deity's paraphernalia, such as flower garlands, upon his head and respectfully put the deity back in his own place, thus concluding the worship. The word tanmayam in this verse is significant. One who is purified by worshipping the deity form of the Lord can understand that he, the worshipper, is an eternal servant of the Lord and is qualitatively one with the Lord, being like a tiny spark of the original fire. Srila Madhvacharya has stated in this regard, one should think I am an eternal servant of Vishnu, and therefore because I am his eternal part and parcel, I am eternally one with him. But I am not Vishnu himself, because Vishnu is the supreme controller of everything. So when we get to do the deity worship, we should have this mentality. He is a supreme Lord himself, and I'm just his insignificant servant. And somehow or other he is engaging me in his service. He's engaging me as his pujari, or as his cook, or as his cleaner, or whatever. That should be the mood when we are worshipping the deity. no matter what the size of the deity is. That doesn't matter. The basic principle of deity worship is that one must understand oneself to be an eternal servant of the Supreme Lord. One who is addicted to sexual gratification, foolishly identifying himself with the external material body, cannot change his conception of himself from that of an enjoyer to that of the enjoyed. Such a person interprets the word tanmayam to mean that the worshipper is himself also the worshipable object. Sri Goswami Prabhupada has written in his Durga Sangamani, his commentary on Sri Rupa Goswami Prabhupada's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, or the process that Ahangropasana, or the process of worshipping oneself as a supreme, is a gross misidentification of one's own self with the supreme, who's actually one's eternal shelter. The six Goswamis have repeatedly clarified this point. But unintelligent persons within the Prakrit Sahaja community become influenced by the bogus ideas of the Mayavadi philosophers and thus display the deluded misconception that the worshipper becomes the supreme shelter. Worshipper becomes the supreme shelter. This is a deluded misconception, very, very wrong idea. Such a hallucination is an aparat, an offense against the Lord. Therefore, the word tanmay in this verse should not be offensively understood to mean that the worshipper becomes equal to his eternal worshipable object. So that is why Prabhupada has given wonderful commentaries, explanations, so that it just comes to our mind. We are not the supreme. He is the supreme, the Lord, and we are just his servants. And with that mood, when we approach him, of course, the servant can have the loving affection towards the Lord. That is different, and he can serve in that loving mood. But the main thought should be, yes, I am his servant. That's all. Evam agnyarkatoyada avtitho hriday chayah yajatishwaram atmanam achiranam uchyate hisaha. Thus, the worshipper of the Supreme Lord should recognize that his personality of Godhead is all pervading and should worship him throughout his presence in fire, the sun, water, and other elements. In the heart of the guest, one receives in one's home and also in one's own heart. In this way, the worshipper will very soon achieve liberation because then he sees only the Lord everywhere. And one who's, as Brahma Samhita says, eyes are anointed with the with love. He sees the Lord everywhere. He cannot see anything else. So thus ends the purports to the 11th canto, 3rd chapter of Bhagavatam, entitled Liberation from Illusory Energy. So we still have time. Can start the next chapter. Because there are still questions by Maharaj Nimi. Chapter 4. Drumil explains the incarnations of Godhead to King Nimi. So 11th canto, 4th chapter, 1st verse. Shri Raja Vacha, Yani Yani hi karmani yarya swachanda janmabhi chakre karoti kartava haristani bruvantuna. King Nimi said, the Supreme Personality of Godhead descends into the material world by his internal potency and according to his own desire. Therefore, please tell us about the various pastimes the Lord Hari has performed in the past, is performing now, and will perform in this world in the future in his various incarnations. So basically, he has covered everything. In this 4th chapter, the son of Jayanti, Drumil, will address King Nimi. 48th verse of the 3rd chapter said, Murtya abhi mata yatmana. One should worship the particular form of the Lord's most attractive to oneself. Similarly, it was stated in the previous chapters, Tave Stutva Named Dharim. One should bow down to Lord Hari after glorifying him with prayers. Thus, it is assumed that the worshipper has knowledge of the Supreme Lord's transcendental qualities and pastimes in order to execute the process of worship previously described. King Nemes, therefore, is eagerly inquiring about the various incarnations of the Supreme Lord so that he can ascertain which particular form of the Supreme Lord is most suitable for his personal worship. It is understood that King Nimi is a Vaishnava or devotee who is trying to advance in the transcendental loving service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, he's asking about all the incarnations in the past, now, whatever pastimes they're performing, and whoever is going to come in the future. It is important to note in this regard that the word Abhimata Murti, meaning one's most desirable form, does not indicate that one may concoct a form of the Lord by one's own whim. All the forms of the Lord are anadim or eternal. Thus, there is no question of concocting a form, because such a concoction would be adi, or the origin of the concocted form. Abhimata Murti means that among the eternal forms of the Lord, one should select that form which most inspires one's love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such love cannot be imitated, but it is automatically aroused when one follows the prescribed rules and regulations given by the bona fide spiritual master and submissively hears these descriptions of Srimad Bhagavatam. So we just follow the rules and regulations, hear, chant, do our services, and slowly, that love that we don't say we develop love actually. We say it just gets reawakened. Love is there, it's just covered over. So it just needs to be the impurity has to be removed. That's it, and it will shine forth. Shri Drumilvacha Yova Anantasya Gunananta Anukramishyan Satu Bala Buddhi Rajansi Bhumer Ganayet Kathanchit Kalena Neva Kil Shakti Dhamna. Shri Drumil said, anyone trying to enumerate or describe fully the unlimited qualities of the unlimited Supreme Lord has the intelligence of a foolish child. To describe fully, nobody can do that. Even if a great genius could somehow or other, after a time-consuming endeavor, count all the particles of dust on the surface of the earth, such a genius could never count the attractive qualities of the personality of Godhead, who is the reservoir of all potencies. Amazing. In reply to King Nimi's request that the Navi Yogendras describe all the qualities and pastimes of the Lord, Shri Drumil here explains that only the most foolish would even attempt such a comprehensive description of the unlimited qualities and pastimes of the personality of Godhead. Such foolish, childish persons, however, are far more advanced than ignorant materialistic scientists who actually try to describe all knowledge without even referring to the personality of Godhead. At least those foolish, childish persons who are trying to describe the qualities of God, they are devotees. They believe in God. The foolish scientists, they don't even believe in God. Forget about his understanding his qualities and his pastimes. In other words, although it is impossible to describe the Lord fully, foolish atheistic scientists attempt to describe all knowledge without even having reached the most preliminary knowledge of the personality of Godhead. Such atheistic persons should be understood to be short-sighted and of very weak intelligence, despite their showy material achievements, which ultimately end in great suffering and destruction. It is said that Lord Anantadeva himself, with his innumerable tongues, cannot even begin to vibrate completely the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The example given in this verse is very nice. No human being can hope to count the number of particles on the surface of the earth. Therefore, no one should foolishly try to understand the Supreme Lord by his own tiny endeavor. So, what do I speak of describing those qualities? One should submissively hear knowledge of God as it is spoken by God Himself in Bhagavad Gita, and thus one should gradually be elevated to the stage of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. According to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by tasting a drop of seawater, one can get a general idea of the flavor of the entire ocean. Similarly, by submissively hearing about the personality of Godhead, one can acquire a qualitative understanding of the absolute truth. Although quantitatively, one's knowledge can never be complete. And also, by hearing about the Lord, His qualities, His pastimes, His merciful nature, one only can come to this understanding that one can only understand the Lord to the extent the Lord wants him to understand. That's it. There's no other explanation. भूतैर यदा पंचभिरात्म सृष्ट पुरम विराजम विरचय तस्मिन् स्वांशेन विष्टा पुरुषाभिधानम् अवाप नारायण आदिदेवः. When the primeval Lord Narayan created his universal body out of the 5 elements produced from himself, and then entered within that universal body by his own plenary portion, he thus became known as Purusha. The word Bhuta Panchabhi in this verse refers to the 5 gross material elements: earth, water, fire, air, and sky, which form the basic building blocks of the material world. When the conditioned living entities enters within these 5 elements, consciousness becomes manifest, along with the functions of the mind and intelligence. Unfortunately, the consciousness manifests under the modes of material nature is governed by ahankar, or false ego, in which the living entity wrongly considers himself the enjoyer of the material elements. That is, he thinks I am the real Purusha, but he is not the Purusha. Although the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Purushottam, enjoys his pure transcendental existence in the spiritual sky, the material elements are also meant for his enjoyment through the process of yajna or sacrifice. This material world is called Devi Dham, or the abode of the illusory energy of the Lord, Maya Devi. The Brahm Samhita explains that the Supreme Person is not at all attracted to his inferior energy, Maya. But when the material creation is used in the service of the Lord becomes attracted by the devotion and sacrifice of the living entities. And thus, indirectly, he is also the enjoyer of the material world. So the material creation, it doesn't attract the Lord. But when the devotee offers it, what about offering it? He himself came, and we read those pastimes, we heard those pastimes. He ate the dirt, and it was a big scene. It was a big problem. Balramji and all the other cowherd friends, they went to Mother Yashoda, complaining that Krishna has eaten dirt. Mother Yashoda had to come out and chastise him, tell him, open the mouth. Krishna said, no, I haven't eaten the dirt. Of course, technically he doesn't eat. It doesn't eat anything, but here it's not the technical thing going on. Here is the Yashoda Maya and her little Lala. And Krishna ate the dirt. And when Krishna opened his mouth, he showed the whole universe. That's a different story. But this is part of his Leela. So in his Leela, we can say, well, this dirt is actually Brajraj, which is all spiritual, all transcendental. It's not the material earth. But still, as it is mentioned here, when the material creation, the elements are used in devotional service, then the Lord becomes attracted, and he enjoys them, just like we offer him bhoga. Hopefully, he accepts it. We should not think that the pastimes of Lord Narayan as a super soul and creator of this universe are on a lower spiritual level than Narayan's eternal pastimes in the spiritual world. When Lord Narayan in any way to diminish his transcendental bliss and knowledge in his activities of material creation, he would have to be considered a conditioned soul affected by contact with illusory potency. But since Lord Narayan is eternally aloof from the influence of Maya, his activities as a super soul of this universe are exactly on the same transcendental level as his activities in the spiritual world. All the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are part and parcel of his unlimited spiritual pastimes. And that's why Prabhupada also says sometimes devotees, we don't want to hear about his pastimes. Kurukshetra or war of Mahabharata, or him is killing various demons. We want to hear about his pastimes with gopis. No, all his pastimes are spiritual. All his pastimes are purifying. And he enjoys all those pastimes. Otherwise, he wouldn't be performing those pastimes. We just need to hear all of them with great attention and devotion. So anyway, we'll stop here and see anybody has any questions or comments.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
So, Prabhuji, I have a question on Tulsi Maharani. We offer the patras, the leaves of Tulsi to Lord Krishna, and is that also offered to other deities? Because I've seen for Hanumanji's also in Varanasi Hanuman, Sankat Mochan, I've seen that it is offered. So is it offered to other deities also?
See, all the demigods. Now it's how do we see that? Hanumanji is a devotee of Lord Ram. Hanumanji himself is not going to eat anything which is not offered to Ram. So whatever we offer to Hanumanji, this is from Vaishnava perspective, he is first going to offer it to Lord Ram. Even if he offers in his mind or whatever he does, that's his choice. So he's not going to offer it to Lord Ram without Tulsi. So if we are putting Tulsi in an offering to Hanumanji, we have to keep it in mind that he is offering to Lord Ram in his own way with Tulsi, and then he will accept it, and then that will be prashadam for us afterwards.
Oh, that's quite a tricky logic, but this is. Thank you, Prabhuji, for explaining this. This was an incident happened, and at home only. We have a small temple at home, so it has been also offered, to Bajrang Bali. And then I said, no, wait, this can be only offered to Krishna. And so my mom told that it is offered and always offered. If you go to every temple, it is offered to Bajrang Bali also. And she gave me that reference, that if you go to Sankat Mochan, it's already offered. But today, from you, I've got this, the actual
logic is
idea behind it all, the information.
Yeah.
Really nice, bro. Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Okay, you all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji.